What's up? Welcome back. Welcome to the Thunderman's Season 2 recap. So, again, doing more Thunderman because I really enjoyed the first reaction and recap. So, yeah, I'm deciding to do the second season because, so let's do Season 2, Episode 1, Thundervan. So, this episode starts off with this season starts off with kind of a bit of a different thing to the first episode where literally it starts off with with Thunderman's. This season starts off with Max just doing stuff when Hank shows up with the Thunder Van, which he brought back from Metroburg to teach Phoebe how to be a superhero when the Hero League finally accepts her. But Phoebe kind of wants to go out with her friends because she and her friends want to see this new thing, want to go to this party. And, Meanwhile, Max just wants to joyride. So that night, Max decides to sneak out into the Thunder Van when he's shocked by Phoebe being there reading. Phoebe says that she's reading for the exam for how to get into the Hero Academy. Max says he doesn't care because I love Max. Season 2, I love me more. And he tells Phoebe that she needs to get a job. Actually, no. He tells her that he tells her stuff. But, so then Max decides to force Phoebe to take her for a joyride, where they go to the medieval munchies, where then they discover their turkey leg is missing. They hear a burp, and Phoebe realizes that Nora and Billy snuck on to the Thunder Van. Meanwhile, with Hank and Barb are happy that their kids are being nice people when they discover that their Thunder Van is missing. Hank, thinking that one of his supervillains stole it, decides to put it in simulation mode, not knowing that the kids are there. So it makes them believe that they're under the ocean or in lava. Eventually, Phoebe tells them that the original idea wasn't for her to go train; it was for her to sneak out to the party. Hank and Barb eventually discover that the evil masterminds who stole the van were their kids. Over the fact that Phoebe was the original guest. Max says how he's proud of Phoebe for going against their parents' wishes because it's Max. And so they're able to get out of there. The parents discover an able. But then Billy and the whole thing is the whole reason why Hank and Barb were alerted was because basically everyone was fighting and basically Billy's pressed the distress button thinking it's spelled distress because Billy's not, because they literally have to show that Billy isn't the smartest kid in the Thunderman family. So anyway, they're able to gather only for them to press the rocket button, which causes them to get out of there. Only for Nora to discover. Only for Nora to say that she forgot her bow in the car. That she forgot her bow in the van, causing Hank to have to go Thunderman away. Only for Nora to, of course, discover that it was there the whole time. And that's kind of where the episode ends. Meanwhile, in Four Soups and a Baby, Phoebe has another crush, Dylan, played by Jordan Fisher. Again, and Cherry's changed her hair to now having longer hair rather than the short hair that she had in the previous season. And this continues for the rest of the show. So, but this Jordan guy, he has a brother. He has a baby brother. And Phoebe realizes, maybe she can invite Billy Norton to this park so she could hang out with Jordan Fisher. So yeah. Remember Cole, Phoebe? Remember how you had a crush on him? I guess you don't anymore because randomly this random dude Dylan comes by and you have a crush on him. So anyway, Phoebe has a crush on this Dylan guy, and that's well. So Billy Norton get in trouble for doing something. Max wants them to open up Dark Mayhem's safe, which is like, okay. Phoebe, basically, Hank and Barb are going to Cos Club, which is probably a parody of Costco. And yeah, so Nora and Billy get telekinesis up by Phoebe to discover to go to the park. Max realizes he's been duped, so he decides to go over there to get back Nora and Billy to figure out his plan. Anyway, yeah. So really, and also this is the introduction of Baby Lulu. I think she only has 2 appearances. She's Nora's doll that is in the exact same stroller as Dylan's baby, so they can do a whole by the way, they do a whole switcheroo thing where basically Max takes the real baby and then Phoebe realizes that they took the real baby. So when they realize that they took the real baby, Max gets attacked by the baby by getting spurted all over, which I think that doesn't happen with a real baby. I think it's fake. But I don't know what a real baby does, so yeah, I'm just saying that the show is probably unimaginative what a real baby does. So anyway, Phoebe has to pretend that this is the real baby. Dylan wants his brother back, but Phoebe keeps trying to come up with excuses on why not giving the brother, which obviously upsets Dylan. Until they're able to give back the baby, Dylan's obviously upset and literally never shows up. Literally says about how Phoebe's weird. Phoebe says, "Oh yeah, by the way, that was not your brother the whole time. That was a doll." And I guess he comes after them off screen with Phoebe saying he's coming right back off screen, which is like weird. So meanwhile, Max's minions. Yeah, this is an episode where Max is the prankster of the school, and Principal Bradford wants to catch him. So Max decides to turn these 3 nerds, and Lionel, who was in the Pretty Little Choirs episode, forgot to mention him. He was one of Veronica's tutor boyfriends. Max decides to want to turn them into prank kings like him. But Max does not realize that once he turns them into prank kings, they overthrow him. But I'll get to that after. Meanwhile, in the B plot, Phoebe decides that when she learns that Max has minions of her own, because Phoebe doesn't want to do her chores and she wants to go to party with Cherry and her friends, she decides to get Billy and Nora to do her chores by faking them as superhero training. Then, of course, Billy and Nora find out the truth. And of course, again, another episode where Phoebe messes with the wrong people and gets punished for it. Because she actually does, Hank and Barb find out the truth. They do let her go to the party. They do let her go to the dance club. But the catch is, her punishment is that she was forced to bring her family along too. And yeah. Meanwhile, with the A plot, Max did too well turning these guys into minions. So they turn against him and force him to a humiliating prank. So Max decides to get back at them by forcing them into a humiliating prank by basically having literally having caramel and cheese dumped all over them as they get in trouble with Principal Bradford. Okay. Episode 4, Phoebe gets another crush, but this guy's a part of Max's band. Yeah, Max decides to start a band in this episode. They become a recurring thing throughout the series, but Phoebe gets a crush on this guy named Oyster, who's a part of Max's band. Max can't stand this because literally he thinks that Oyster's dream is to become a rock star. And Gideon, he literally invites Max's mom to the team, even though into the band. Literally, we learned that Oyster has an obsession with his guitar. He treats them as people. He values them over Phoebe. And even though when Phoebe was about to break up with Oyster, Max literally comes in trying to break them up. They obviously do because we can't have this be a status quo. Oyster goes back to being on Max's band and we never see his guitar obsession again. Barb is let into the group by Gideon, even though this is never mentioned again. And the running joke of this episode is Max telling Gideon not cool. And then at the end of the episode, Hank tells Mr. Gideon not cool. And then by the end of the episode, we get more Mr. Wong scenes because this episode knows I love Mrs. Wong. Literally, at the end of the episode, Oyster says that he wrote a song about the person who satisfied him, his appetite or something. And Phoebe first thinks that's about her because obviously she wants a song about her. But then the Oyster reveals the song's about Mrs. Wong, my queen, Mrs. Wong. Yeah, this episode's kind of not that good. Like, Oyster comes off as too unlikable in this episode. Like, it's meant to be his first appearance, and he's meant to be Phoebe's one-time boyfriend, but I feel like the writers knew they couldn't make him Phoebe's boyfriend for long. That's why they made him a guitar obsessor. And I don't like that. It went on too long. It was like, oh, he had obsession with his guitar. And then he reveals that the song that he wrote about that made Phoebe fall in love with him was about a guitar. Like, Phoebe says about how literally she wrote about a song about Michaela, which we later reveal was a guitar because this dude is obsessed with guitar. I'm glad that this is never brought up again. Because the writers knew that this was the one thing that probably annoyed us about Oyster's character. So they're like, yeah, no, let's remove his whole obsession with guitar things because we want to make us like Oyster. And he's going to be a major prominent character in the second season forward to the revival movie. So yeah, they need to make us like him. And also, Justice Smith is in this episode. Yeah, there's a character named Angus, played by Justice Smith. He only has 2 episodes in the entire show. And then, just like Cole Campbell, he's completely gone and replaced by Wolfgang in Max's band. It's never explained why Angus left the band. They barely don't even reference him. Max is just like, hey guys, here's Wolfgang, which we'll get to Wolfgang. Max is like, hey, here's Wolfgang, and they accept him in the band. Like, what? Like, okay, if Justice Smith only had 2 appearances, explain it. Just like Cole Campbell. Like, Cole Campbell never appeared again, we all know. But with him, you could have explained why they never show up. We know why, because he's probably on vacation forever, But with Justice Smith's character, Angus, he's only in 2 appearances. Both Feeble Rocky, which is this episode, Rat Race, which is episode 17. But the Big Rat Race Adventure, which is episode 17. But the problem with this is that he completely gone. So now we got the crossover between 2 shows, The Haunted Hathaways and The Thundermans. So this episode starts off in the ghost realm where we see Louie and Miles walking around talking about how Miles is a big geek is a simp for Thunderman. Yep, this is literally how the crossover begins. Hold up. Why did we need a crossover between two shows that really have nothing to do with each other? It's just like saying, why do we need Henry Danger and the Thundermans? We didn't need a crossover between them, but we got it in Henry Danger. Why do we need Hunt Hathaway's and Henry Danger and Thundermans crossover? I don't know. These two shows, one's about ghosts and one's about a family of superheroes. They do not mix. But I'll talk about this episode because it is episode 5 and I want to talk about every episode, so it's a fine episode. So, anyway, Miles Louis is terrible at ghosting, so he turns into a pumpkin, which accidentally bumps a wall, releasing the Green Ghoul, Thunder Hank's most terrible enemy, who then vows revenge on Thunderman. And this ghoul has been waiting 20 years for this revenge. Like, bro, do you have anything better to do? You've been like 20 years to get revenge on some superhero that you fought 20 years ago? Does this ghost have anything to do in prison than being like, Thunderman, Thunderman, Thunderman? Meanwhile, we see Thunderman literally losing to a finger. Yeah, he's literally losing his finger, guys. He's losing his finger. So then Super President Kickbutt shows up, and she's a major character later on. She shows up and is like, hey guys, look, a green pumpkin showed up. The Green Ghoul escaped. A green pumpkin side. Go to New Orleans to find out how to stop it. Phoebe's like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to New Orleans. I got a party. Smash cut, they're all in New Orleans. Okay, then we see Michelle from, then we see Taylor from the Haunted Hathaways talking with her boyfriend, who I don't remember. Actually, I know his name, Scott. But I don't remember if they ever showed him in the show or anything. Yeah. Literally, we see Imperion. We see Imperion from Mighty Med. He's in this show, and he's basically a sad sack guy. Meanwhile, Michelle from Pies Squared, because she said the pies are squared, not anymore. She's talking with them, and then we see Frankie and Louie. Okay, yeah. They're talking about how the mayor stopped Frankie from using her thing. So then Frankie's B-plot of this episode is basically just recruiting Billy and Nora into stealing the most candy, with Louie being jealous that Frankie's his number one person. Should I do a recap of the Haunted Hathaways? Because this show is, I remember this show, and this show is insane. Please tell me in the comment below if you're watching this reaction when it comes out. Please tell me if you want to see a reaction to the Haunted Hathaways. So anyway, what happened? Or if you want to see if you want to comment, if you want to see a reaction to Haunted Hathaway or any Nick show, because I'll do any Nick show. But yeah, so this is basically, so Max for some reason thinks Taylor's a ghost and tries to hit her. Phoebe's like, yeah, sorry for Max. He's not cool. Literally, Miles discovers their Thunderman, and basically goes against Simpin. I didn't know that Haunted Hathaways and Thundermans exist in the same world, because I thought they were two different shows. But since Miles knows who Thunderman is and is a simper for him, I didn't think... I didn't think he was a simp. But, yeah. Anyway, then Chad comes in, basically inviting Taylor to the party. Before he leaves, his eyes glow green, and hinting that he's been possessed by the Green Ghoul. So everyone goes to the party. Miles is pee-pee, man. And he did not realize how bad that is. He's pee-pee, man. He's pee-pee, man. That is hilarious. Pee-pee, man. Okay, anyway, he doesn't really know about it. So yeah, so Chad hits on Phoebe and brings her outside. Yeah. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, so Sydney Scotia from some assembly acquired and regarding coach shows up playing a mean character who who takes a snapshot of Max and Taylor and threatens it to send it to her boyfriend Scott. She eventually does send it to the entire world, and now Taylor's freaking out because her boyfriend is gonna see her and Max together. Anyway, Chad recognizes that in the earlier scene, literally Hank gave the family demonite to basically protect them from ghostly possession. Phoebe, not realizing that Chad is the green ghoul, takes it off, which she says pure demonite. And he's like, "Why do you say that, Chad?" He's like, "Because I'm not Chad, and the green ghoul possesses Phoebe." And now he has both superpowers and ghostly powers combined. So yeah, that model shows up trying to like be cool, only for Green Ghoul Phoebe to be like, "No, you be cool forever." Okay, no, that's a quote from Giant Task, but you be cool forever. And then the Green Ghoul uses Phoebe's freeze breath to freeze Mile. So yeah, so meanwhile, there's a B plot of them creating a cage to crash the Green Ghoul. There's also, actually, this is technically a C plot. Ray and Hank get into a fight over who created this cage because they're men and they don't need time for women to. They don't get trapped by Louis, who then goes to tell them that the Green Ghoul has escaped and that it's in Chad. But then, when they get there, they discover it's in Phoebe. So yeah, so then Green Ghoul basically taunts Max, being like, "Oh yeah, you bro, you are no super villain, you more super loser." Also, there's the whole joke. This episode continues the joke about how literally Max wants to be a super villain. Hank gets mad at him, saying like, you need to grow up and get out of this super villain phase because it's just a phase, bro." So yeah, so then Green Ghoul shows up, locks everyone in, and then fights. Max shows up, betraying Hank, only for him to reveal that he's faking, and then he says, before he goes, "Know that I never betray you," and they attack Green Ghoul. Green Ghoul and Miles fight. So then Green Ghoul gets out of Phoebe's body, and then they're able to turn him human. Okay, this episode's getting weird enough. There's also a B plot of. There's also the Nora, Frankie, and Billy thing about how literally now kids are after them because they have all the candy. It's not that important. It's not that important. I'm sorry. I like Billy and Nora. I like Frankie from the Haunted Hathaway, but they are not. But they're. If you still want me to do Haunted Hathaways, I will. I will definitely watch that show. But technically not important to the plot. Anyway, anyway, so yeah, so they're able to try. So yeah, so they basically their solution is for Max and Phoebe to cross to basically use both freeze breaths at the same time without crossing, basically freezing the Green Ghoul forever. And that's the end of the crossover. Anyway, in Shred Go, Phoebe. No, who's Phoebe? Phoebe is basically hanging around in Shred Go, which I guess is a reference to Let Go. Phoebe, I keep saying Phoebe is basically hanging around cardboard cutouts of two singers, of Tommy and of Malcolm and Tony. Real singers, actually. I thought they could be. I thought they would have been created from the show, but no, they're actual people, and Phoebe's obsessed with them. So yeah. So meanwhile, meanwhile at Splatterburger, which this is its actual first appearance. Meanwhile, in a new location called Splatburger, we see. Meanwhile, a new location, which will become a major location in the show, Splatburger. We see Oyster and Gideon and Max talking about how literally Max likes this girl named Sydney, and how she literally never goes out with them. Max is able to strike up a conversation with her, meaning that he's able to say he likes MKTO like she does, and basically decides to hide and when Phoebe gets her tickets, meanwhile, yeah, the B. I'll talk about the B plot here. The B plot is that basically Nora likes destroying things, right? So when Billy and Hank buy this new shredder, Nora feels obsolete because of the fact is that they bought a new thing that can shred stuff when she can just use her laser eyes, which helps them. So yeah, so when they accidentally destroy the tickets, but Max discovers the tickets are still alive, but lies to Phoebe so he can take his girlfriend. So Phoebe believes the tickets are destroyed when she goes to Splatburger to discover that Tony and Malcolm from MKTO are at the Splatburger. Meanwhile, Max gets bird poop on him, and they call him Turd Boy, or Bird Poop Guy, or Poop Man. Wait, no, Bird Turd. Yeah, that was it. Bird Turd. It kind of goes nowhere, and we kind of never see that, like, what happens to Max in the concert. Phoebe gets a song by MKTO to one of their actual albums called American Dream, and Hank and Billy realize that they'd rather have Nora than some machine after it almost eats Billy, so they allow Nora to destroy it. Meanwhile, Blue Detective, this episode starts off with Max with a completely different girl. Remember the girl in the last episode? Yeah, she doesn't matter. Max completely was a different girl. We see a Russian named Svetlana, who's obviously Phoebe in disguise. When Max goes to eat his splogie, he turns blue. He turns into a Smurf, which they actually reference. in the actual episode. Max actually calls himself a Smurf, which was kind of funny. But yeah, so he basically points at everyone. Basically, Max used Nora's bow to poop, and used Nora's bow as Dr. Claus's pooping thing. Max basically sold off Barb's bracelet to Maddie, which is what she was looking for at the beginning of the episode. And yeah. The reason why he thinks Hank did is because Hank is eating a splogie, which he shouldn't. And he basically told Splatburger not to sell to Hank. Meanwhile, yeah, I kind of forget why he has against Phoebe. He thinks Phoebe's evil. So yeah, then Maggie shows up. She sneezes a couple of times thinking she's allergic to Max. I almost said Matt. What's up? But anyway. So yeah, so they go to Splatburger to discover the real culprit was. They discover that Nora was at Splatburger giving splogies to Hank, and Billy was at Splatburger stealing the bracelet back to Barb, and Phoebe was there because she. Anyway, yeah, Phoebe turns blue, and they discover that Colosso was the reason why Max turned blue, but Max turned Phoebe blue because he just really likes to do it. He just really likes to get the rise out of her. He likes to get the rise out of Phoebe. But anyway, so yeah. Colosso reveals the real reason why he turned Max blue was because he was tired of him talking about his girlfriend all the time. Since we ever see this girl again, I'm surprised that she broke up Max off screen. Then in sheer present danger, this may be one of my most annoying episodes of the series. Okay, so basically, Phoebe and Cherry want to join the cheerleading team. Want to join the cheerleading team. But Cherry gets in. So, but when Phoebe overhears them talking bad about Cherry thinks that Phoebe is disliking her. So she basically ends her friendship with her over that. She basically deletes all their pictures and phone numbers over this one thing. Like I get it. Phoebe couldn't say congratulations. Yeah, that's the running joke of the episode, by the way. Phoebe cannot say congratulations to Cherry, which makes Phoebe feel jealous. But this is just an annoying B plot. I don't like episodes where, the main character tries to tell the other character something that's about to happen, but the main character doesn't believe them, and it's an annoying plot. Let's go to the B plot. The B plot's about Max winning Mrs. Wong. Yes, Mrs. Wong, you saved this episode. This episode was bad. It was, but you saved it, Mrs. Wong. Mrs. Wong saves this episode. I would give this an F because it gives me one of my least favorite tropes, and I explained it. But back to the B plot. Max basically wins Mrs. Wong's contest, but basically she thinks he cheats the whole episode. But so he basically tortures his entire family until he believes that she cheats. He eventually does say he actually makes her believe that he does cheat, but he blows her up with an ink-filled pen. Meanwhile, back to the annoying A plot. Phoebe's able to get Cherry back by revealing that one of the Madisons, which Madison's becomes a character later on, was trying to dump egg on Cherry. So Cherry quits the cheerleading team and puts this episode to an end. I would like this episode because it does have a good plot with Max, but the Phoebe and Cherry stuff really drives it home how much I dislike plots like this, where the main character knows something. They're trying to tell the other character, but the other character doesn't believe the main character over something. And the running joke of Phoebe can't sing congratulations got on my nerves. Like, okay, they did it the first time, but like, come on, Phoebe. You can't say congratulations. I'm skipping this one. It's too angerful. But at least Mrs. Wong saved it. Thank you, Mrs. Wong. I could have given this episode an F, but I give it a D. It's not one of my favorite episodes. It gives one of my least favorite tropes of all time. We got change of art. Okay, so it's not a Sarah back episode. It's not a Sarah episode where she basically loves Max. But in this episode, Max is an artist, and Phoebe wants to know why. It's revealed that Max is an artist because he and Billy steal artists from the trash. But when Phoebe wants to do it, Billy actually steals Phoebe's art project from a literal museum, so they have to somehow get it from the auction to get in. It's a fun episode. At least it's way better than the last episode. That episode was atrocious. But this episode is fine. This episode is fine to me. I think we're kind of angry over the last episode being so bad, in my opinion. But, so yeah. I like the part where literally where Nora finds out and she tells Barb, she's like, Where's Max? And she's like, with Phoebe. And he's like, where's Phoebe? With Billy. And she's like, where's Billy? Watch the, there's the auction. I love Nora. She saves these. I love Nora. So they're able to get Sarah. So Sarah and Barb get into a battle over Max's painting and Sarah draws on her face with a beard, makes herself have a marker beard because she realizes that Max loved markers. that because Max had a painting, he likes drawings of people with beards. So yeah, and Sarah still has the picture. Okay, White Thunderland, we got the Christmas episode. The Thunderman's first Christmas episode that aired in November of 2014. Okay, so Max is basically the Scroogey Scrooge on Christmas. So he decides to basically he gets Nora for Christmas, and he decides to ruin her Christmas. Until he sees three versions of Phoebe, who they're not Phoebe, but they are played by Kira Costner, and so I'm just going to call them Phoebe's ancestors, show up. And literally, the Christmas past shows Max how basically his bad gift of giving them coal basically gave them enough reason to move to Hiddenville. Then the Christmas present shows up and and we learn Max's middle name is Maximus Octavius Thunderman. Maybe he's a supervillain because he got his name based on Doc Ock. So yeah, then we go to Christmas present. Then Max decides that he's not gonna only ruin Nora's Christmas, he's gonna ruin all of their Christmas. Ha ha ha. Then the Christmas future shows up and says that, bro Max, if you do that, your whole family's gonna become supervillains and basically Nora's gonna become abandoned. So yeah, so we see basically the future where the Thundermans are basically villains. Basically, so yeah, Thundermans in this version are basically villains. Basically, Thunderman and Electrix use their powers irresponsibly. Phoebe has turned Hiddenville High into Phoebe Thunderman's Academy of Fear, and she rules with a little iron fist because her hand got cut off by a motor accident. Billy's literally now the Max of the world and has the real Max, that's his Dr. Colosso, and then because she didn't want to become a villain, Nora was ostracized by her family and was forced to live in Metroburg all by herself, but basically not having anyone, having to talk to doll can versions of her family. Then Billy basically does this, and this is what makes Max realize that what he's doing is bad. So he gives them all nice gifts and decides to give Nora snow. So in episode 11, we have a really interesting episode. So basically, Phoebe and Max don't understand their parents. Yep, they want to go to parties, but their parents won't let them to. So what do they decide to do? They basically decide to finally use Max's Brain Melt 3000 that was last in the first episode. They're finally doing something with that thing to melt their parents' brains to basically erase any adult memories and make them think they're teenagers. Meanwhile, with Nora and Billy, they're literally hanging out with Uncle Bobbin. Yeah, Uncle Bobbin's back, and he's basically doing he's totally having Billy and Nora convince a pet owner to let him own her dog, a pet worker to own her dog. But this pet worker doesn't want it until she's willing to give him the dog, until Billy and Nora basically eat raspberry fruits, which kind of look like Gum Gum No Me's from One Piece, which makes them go on a sugar high instead of giving them stretchy powers. Until next episode for that one. But yeah, anyway. It's really that Hank is. Meanwhile, back in the A plot, teenage Hank was called Hankosaurus. Max and Phoebe, this is another episode where they realize that they've done wrong and have to give their parents back to their adult selves so they can stop the party. So yeah, they eventually since the Brain Melt 3000 was in charge, they decided to basically have their parents recreate their first kiss to recharge it, and it restores their memories. They obviously get back to normal. Meanwhile, the B plot, the dog. They decide to give the dog owner one last chance, and I guess Bobbin gets the dog. The dog decides to choose him over the owner, but we never see it. In episode 12, meet the Evilmans. We get meet the Evilmans. So yeah, at Splatterburger, Phoebe and Max are talking when someone accidentally sees Phoebe use her powers. But this guy's name is Link Evilman, played by Barrett Carahan, or young Chris from Cobra Kai, or Jeanette's brother from Cruel Summer. That's all. Or he was in Obliterated, but I've never seen that. So he reveals that he's actually got superpowers, and he and Phoebe kind of form romance until it's revealed that his dad is Evilman, played by Eric Allen Kramer, or as we all know him from our childhoods, Bob Duncan from Good Luck Charlie. Yeah, I was super surprised when I heard. I did not know that was Bob Duncan, but then when I watched the credits, I was like, wait a minute, Bob Duncan was in this episode? I didn't know it was him. Anyway, so yeah. So once Hank and Dad, Hank and Mr. Evilman eventually get along. But once he hears the evil laugh and discovers that that's Thunderman and that's Evilman, they decide to basically say, yeah, nah, Phoebe and Link, you are never to see each other again. This is basically a Romeo and Juliet story. Except for they allow their parents to die at the end instead of Phoebe and Link killing themselves, because this episode went too dark to end like that, and we have 2 more seasons of this show. But anyway, besides that, eventually Phoebe's like, yeah, no, I don't need Link anymore. But Max is like, oh yeah, I have an ice base I want. That's basically Max's whole motivation of this episode. He wants to meet Evilman so he can get his ice base. But he keeps messing it up every time he talks to him. I guess it's supposed to be funny. So yeah, they eventually get into a fight at Splatterburger, but then they realize that he's actually a nice guy and allow their children to date. And Link actually does become Phoebe's boyfriend, and is for the remainder of the show. Not like Cole Campbell or Dylan, where they just show up once and never show up again. Link is actually a mainstay! Yes! Finally, Phoebe can finally get a boyfriend that doesn't disappear after 2 episodes. He's a mainstay. Okay, a never-friending story. So in Never-Friending Story, Phoebe and Max's friends hang out. They discover they have things in common. But Phoebe and Max can't stand this. They want to break their friends up. They want to break their friends up because they realize that if their friends are together for years, Phoebe and Max will be stuck for each other till their old age. That's basically their own joke, is that if they're friends hanging out, they'll basically be together until they're old. Meanwhile, so this is not an episode where basically Hank and Barb have to go out somewhere. They leave Max and Phoebe in charge of Billy and Nora, which obviously, if you know from the pilot episode, that never works in literally Max and Phoebe. So Max and Phoebe decide to freeze Billy and Nora, but that doesn't work because Nora uses her laser eyes to melt her and Billy. So they decide to basically buy a ball pit and use their parents' credit cards for whatever they want because they have no person to stop them. So, yeah. So also Gideon hits on both of Phoebe's friends. First her mom and now her friends. Like, dude, pick which one you're in love with. Also, I guess, but anyway, so eventually it's revealed that the theaters where Phoebe and Max are at, Barb and Hank are also at. So they somehow have to break up their friends while while also escaping their parents. They eventually realize that, yeah, it's okay for their friends to hang out, but I don't think we ever see them hang out again. Also, they discover what Billy Nora did, and fine, they were a fine episode. And you gotta fail. Max is doing an epic fail prank. And you gotta fail. Max is doing an epic fail prank when he accidentally knocks over Phoebe and the TV. He realizes that this is his best way to win his island. But this causes Phoebe to lose her ballet audition once it's revealed. So now she somehow has to get away with her ballet audition. I also love how Nora's bow is on her helmet. I wonder what she wears under that. Does she wear a bow on her helmet, which is under her hair as well? They never show it. But anyway, so yeah, last time we had Phoebe clone episode, and this time we have a epic fail episode. But anyway, just saying is that it's weird. It's a weird episode. Max and Phoebe basically battle over. Basically, Phoebe is able to get her part back by saying Max was fake. Eventually, Phoebe does win the. She's able to win the $100,000, which is able to get Billy and Nora. She's able to. Yeah, there's a plot about Billy and Nora attracting Poison Ivy because basically, Hank is a terrible role model. So yeah, so basically they literally get leashes from a cure they thought. So basically, she pays for Max. Max finally gets his island, finally gets his land, which he can use Bill's island. It never comes up again. In episode 15, Doubles Troubles, Link and Phoebe are back again as a couple, and yeah, they're back. They're back, and obviously. So this Max decides to help Phoebe basically win a tournament until he meets the president of the company and decides to help the president win. Until it's revealed, bro, that wasn't really the president. That wasn't really the president of the episode. That wasn't really the president. And Max is kicked out for basically riding the real president, and the guy was the president, but it was the president of sitting on the couch. I kind of forget Billy Nora's plot, but was it like? Okay, so Who's Your Mommy, which is a weird name for an episode title. Basically, everyone is having fun. Everyone wants a pool. Billy and Nora are basically selling their stuff. Until one day Max sells his mom's valuables, so they have to get it back. So Max gets it back, but he only gets back the box in the comic, not the whip, from this kid named Cedric, who is a big Electress fan. So Max and Phoebe have to pretend to be Electress. Meanwhile, Nora is selling her bows and also actually wears all of her. When she realizes she couldn't sew within the bows she wanted, she wears them all. I don't know how she got them off, but yeah. Eventually, Cedric discovers the truth and captures them. So due to her computer breaking down, Barb is able to discover where her kids are at and teleports there to basically tells the kid that, yeah, she doesn't have any kids. If she did have kids, her kids wouldn't be this irresponsible. And then he's like, told you. And then, yeah. So she's able to get them out of there. They're able to buy a kiddie pool, and they're able to recognize their mom as the hero she is because Cedric had a bunch of saves that Electress did, because they always thought that Thunderman was always the one doing the saving, but they realized that Electress did some too. An amazing rat race, which is again, as I said, the final appearance of is the final appearance of Justice Smith on this show. Max is selling rat races to win money, so they decide to turn Billy into a rat. So yeah, but when Billy wins the race, they discover that Billy actually loves rat life, and decides to not turn himself into a human. Meanwhile, the B plot is about Nora selling over her fear of rats with the help of Barb and Hank, and it kind of doesn't come until the A plot. So meanwhile, what happens is that some rat exterminator just shows up at Hank's doorstep because he actually says that he just showed up. He's able to lure Billy with cheese because of what they said, because of what he heard. So they tell her, and tell her that that's really Billy. So yeah, so Nora's able to come over her fear, and Lily gets back at them for turning Billy into a rat. The episode ends with a rat scaring out all of the dance party goers, but it's revealed that the rat wasn't Billy. So weird way to end the episode, guys. In episode 18, Small Time Crooks. Episode 18, Small Time Crooks. Basically, it's Hank's birthday, and Phoebe and Max basically have to buy him a gift. Yeah, meanwhile, the whole B plot is about them having to hide the thing from Hank. So basically, Phoebe spends it on shopping. Max wants an ear blaster with Oyster, and it's wants an ear blaster with Oyster, and yeah, he wants an ear blaster with Oyster. Eventually, Max has to. They're both kicked out of the mall, but Phoebe, when the guy played by that guy from Smallville, Jamie Maddox, I forget his name. But anyway, he discovers that Phoebe and Ashley's been on the show before, but she was funny here. They basically kicked out Phoebe and Max. Ashley's like, oh yeah, I'll help you guys, until her mom called. Her mom called and she leaves. It was hilarious. So they have to get the thing off of Mr. Hollister. They eventually do. And there's basically a running gag of Electra ads just showing up everywhere whenever Hank notices whatever Barbara's saying is based off of her old Electra ads. So yeah, they eventually get the watch, but then it's revealed that the watch they got connects a Kerr's magnet electric current, which sends Hank into the hospital once again. Poor guy. In Not What You Link, Link and Max don't get along so well. Yeah, they're kind of making Max Link. So yeah, Phoebe finally gets them to go along but when Max and Link start acting weird, Phoebe believes that Max is actually treating Link evil, because of course he is, and it's, yeah, those kind of episodes where Phoebe misunderstands. But unlike in it's kind of one of those episodes. Unlike in the episode 8 where it's super bad. This episode is kind of fine because it's kind of funny that literally Max and Link hang out. Yeah, so it's revealed that they were actually doing live action role playing. Phoebe misunderstood. It's revealed that Link lied and the Sora ring that he gave Max was actually just his sister ring made out of candy. Meanwhile, Hank is lying to Barb about going to yoga when it's actually he has his own man cave. It's a good episode. It's fine. In Cape Fear, Phoebe is not allowed to go to a party, but when she does, she saves someone. But Max takes credit for it, and everyone's super happy, thinking Max is finally over his villain phase. Max is kind of liking it until he realizes that he actually is buying into it. President Kickbutt decides to give the fun. Phoebe really wants her cape, but Super President Kickbutt decides to give it to Max instead. So so this drives Max insane. Meanwhile, there's a B plot about Hank challenging Billy Nora to live out the wilderness as long as he did. No spoiler, but they don't. They eventually come in when the other plot happens. So Max is afraid that he's turning good. So he basically decides. So he tells everyone the truth that it was actually Phoebe who he first tried to kidnap President Kickbutt to be a bad guy, but then President Kickbutt's daughter basically just kicks him uses a kick butt kick, and he lands in front of Billy and Nora, scaring them off. So Billy and Nora decided to destroy his trophy in retaliation, and then Max finally tells them that it was actually Phoebe who so then President Kickbutt reveals that she's actually giving the cape to Simone now instead of Max instead of Phoebe, because this one really wants to torture Phoebe, doesn't it? And so this episode wants to torture Phoebe, doesn't it? So Anyway, what happens is that they decide to go. So basically Max reveals that basically it was Phoebe who took the save, and then they're all upset and are like, oh yeah, Phoebe, you'll get to clean the roof while Max watches. And he's like, why is Max get to watch? Because it's by hers, of course. Episode 20, Call of Lunch Duty. Max is a notorious prankster called the Raptor. Or the Notorious Raptor. I'm just going to call him the Raptor. Phoebe decides to keep a secret. Principal Bradford decides to stick Phoebe on lunchroom duty. So to get out of that, they decide to enter a wrestling match. They decided to enter on a wrestling match to be Principal Bradford. And eventually Max does reveal that he's the Raptor, or the Revenge Raptor, I forget what it's called. But yeah. Okay, One Hit Thunder. Phoebe and Link are in love, but then their love is cut short by Max, who decides to. This is also the first appearance of Wolfgang. Wolfgang, who's a foreign exchange student from Germany, even though his actor is from Ohio, USA. But he does do a really good job at a German accent. So yeah. So anyway. Okay, so there's also a B in Call of Lunch Duty. There's a B plot about Mrs. Wong dressing up as alien. Billy Nora sees her as I just love Mrs. Wong. Billy Nora sees her as an alien, thinks she's an alien when she isn't. They basically try to wrap her around until they reveal that she's actually selling alien pizzas, and that the alien sound they're hearing was her singing voice. Again, I love Mrs. Wong. But anyway, in Girl with the Dragon, in the Girl with the, what's it called? The Girl with the Okay, one hit thunder. So yeah, Link and Phoebe are in love until Max discovers, with the help of Wolfgang and the others, he discovers Phoebe's diary and decides to read it about Link's big toe. Yeah, Link has a secret big toe. Yeah, Link discovers this, and obviously he's mad at Phoebe because Link lies and says that Max lies and says Phoebe obviously told him, which she didn't. So this confuses Phoebe. So Max decides to sneak into more and steal Phoebe's Link's love letter to Phoebe, and yeah, it's just an episode where you can't like Max. Like, okay, he redeems himself by the end. I love the boy, but come on, this is an episode where he breaks up two couples just to start a band, just have band music. He can't because he's not a good band singer if he can't come up stuff on his own. But anyway. So yeah, eventually he discovers the truth. They decide that whenever something's going on between them, well, they decide that if there's miscommunication, if anything's going on between them, just let them know. Just think it's something Max may. It's one of Max's devious plans. Meanwhile, in the girl with the dragon snafu, which is obviously a reference to girl with dragon tattoo, Max and Phoebe's supposed to join the Kelly club, the club with Kelly with Winnie and Sabrina. Sabrina's actually played by Duella Dent from Gotham Knights, which is pretty interesting to know. But yeah, so she chooses them, which turns off Sarah and her group. So Max joins that group, but Sarah literally turns on literally. But then they make a float. But when Colosso that makes Max think that he didn't remember anything, it destroys the float. It destroys the dragon thing. So they get mad at Max. So yeah, so it literally takes Sarah to take her glasses off to literally make. So yeah, so the guy's like, hey, they take Sarah's glasses off, and she's like, hey, I can't see, but Max, you are out of the group. And yeah, and also Sabrina and Winnie kick Phoebe out because they're more interesting in not doing any work than doing it. So Max and Phoebe are supposed to join together. Yeah. Yeah. And they eventually do, but literally, like, Max discovers fireworks. It says Phoebe's a turd. Okay, we're on the two-part finale, A Hero is Born. This episode brings a lot of shakeup to the series and introduces a long-standing character. So, yeah, so let's review it. This episode starts off with Barb randomly getting Electra flashes out of nowhere. Electra flashes out of nowhere. Then that's when the computer discovers Barb is pregnant. OMG! Yeah, this is a big shakeup. I didn't know that Barb was going to be pregnant. So, yeah. So also there's a plot about Cherry getting Phoebe to join her and asking this guy out, even though Phoebe has a boyfriend by this point. And then the guy she's supposed to go with makes food into smoothies, which is, So, yeah, so then Phoebe's forced to leave when she learns that her mom is pregnant. And this obviously makes Cherry upset that Phoebe would abandon her like that. So, yeah. And the B plot is about Nora feeling unsatisfied with the fact is that she's no longer the cute one in the family. And she joins a baby contest to prove that she's still the cute one. Okay. We learned some backstory that Billy literally shipped Nora away. And he does tell Nora that once he saw her smile, that made him love her, but it's actually revealed that once he shipped her away, the people that he shipped her to shipped her back to them. But Nora never learns this. It got dark. So anyway, there's also a plot about Dr. Colosso accepting an award. So Max makes him human. We finally get to see Colosso as a human for once. And they decide to go. But then Colosso betrays Max for his new villain group and leaves him to be eaten by a bunch of crabs. With a guy named King Crab. So yeah, so the baby is born, which they decided to name Chloe Thunderman, and it's a girl, obviously. Her name is Chloe Thunderman. So yeah, so Chloe's obviously mad. Not Chloe. Chloe's the new character. We'll get to her next season. She becomes a major character. Her story arc begins in season 3. Chloe's does, but Cherry's mad. So Phoebe has to save Max, and her mom won't wake up because she has to do a recharge. So she forces to send Cherry. She tells Cherry finally the truth about her being a superhero, but of course, Cherry doesn't believe her and thinks she's making all this up and is an absolutely big liar. Because literally she's holding a baby and telling Chloe that her sister is a big liar about being a superhero. But when she sees Phoebe in action being Thunder Girl, she finally comes to realize, hey, Phoebe is a superhero. So there we get Dr. Colosso, and yeah. So Max, literally the joke is like Phoebe's like, oh, Max, Dad's probably gonna be pretty mad with you that you turned Colosso human. And then Max is like, oh, Phoebe, Dad's gonna be mad at you when he found out you told Cherry our secret. So that's the joke. Yeah. So to reveal that Chloe's powers are bubbles. In later episodes, it's we'll get season 3. I'll probably do a season 3 review after this one, but so yeah. In the middle of the van, Chloe grows to be a toddler. Because she's a super baby, she has the power because she's the super baby, she has the power to unexpectedly grow. Unexpectedly grow. Yep. So Hank shows up, basically being mad, basically revealing that Cherry knows the secret, and Dr. Colosso got turned into a human rabbit. I forgot to mention that because literally Max didn't know how long they'd be there for him to be human for. So yeah, he's a rabbit. But literally, Hank is willing to sacrifice Dr. Colosso. So he's like, okay, I'll go save him. They do, and then they go back home where they're all in their super suits, and they reveal Chloe's super suit as a new chapter in the Thunderman's lives begin. Wow, was this a great finale and a great season? Wow, we had a lot of great episodes, even one very bad one, which I wish not to talk about. Okay. This was a good season. I'm glad they ended the season on a bang rather than last season's episode wasn't that good, but boy was this season's finale that good. It got really good. Cherry now knows their secret. There's a new Thunder Kid. There's a new Thunder Kid in the family, and we actually saw Dr. Colosso change into a human for once. Mind blown. But anyway, yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for season 3 of the Thundermans.